Hey guys, this is Mrs. Applegarth, and I am going to do a lesson today on mortgage loans. So we're going to do 10.1 to 10.3, and our lesson objective on 10.1 mortgage loans is to compute the mortgage loan amount. So go ahead and fill that in your notes. Lesson objective, compute the mortgage loan amount. Super easy. All it is a little multiplication and a little subtraction. Okay, so the first vocabulary we're going to talk about is mortgage loans. And mortgage loans is a long-term loan extended to someone to buy a property. So classically, we think of this as like a home loan, but in fact, you can buy a trailer. You can buy a piece of property. The key with a mortgage loan is it's a long-term loan extended to someone to buy a property. Pause this if you need a little bit longer to fill out your notes. The formula for mortgage loan amount is your selling price. So it's what the purchaser is asking, the purchaser and the buyer agree that they're going to sell the house for, minus whatever down payment you put down on the house. So your mortgage loan amount is the selling price minus the down payment. Again, pause this if you need a little bit more time to fill out your notes. Okay, so let me show you an example of this. Jessica and Kurt Kramer are considering the purchase of a new home for $140,000. They must make a 15% down payment. What is the amount of mortgage loan needed to finance the purchase? So we take the $140,000, multiply it by the 15%, and they have to make a $21,000 down payment. So what is their mortgage loan amount? Well, you take the $140,000 minus the $21,000 they put as a down payment, and their loan amount is going to be $119,000. So they need to have this $21,000 in their bank account and be willing to write a check for it in order to get this loan. That's what having a down payment means. So sometimes before you go out and buy a house, you need to have the down payment ready and saved up before you buy the house. Okay, we're going to do a couple of example problems where we find the down payment and we find the amount of the mortgage. Let's switch over here, get our calculator out. So Tom and Sally Becker are considering the purchase of a home that sells for $280,000. We are going to multiply that by the 20% to find the down payment. So 280,000 times 20%, and we throw that on our calculator. And that is $56,000 as our down payment. So to find our mortgage loan amount, so this is the amount that we're going to be borrowing from the bank and paying back over an amount of time, we take the $280,000 minus the $56,000. And I'm going to throw my calculator. I'm just going to put minus $280,000 and ignore the negative. So that's $224,000 that we are borrowing from the bank. Okay, we're going to do that same thing. And in fact, I'm just going to copy and paste it over here. For Bart and Kyle, except they're going to take out a loan for $242,500, and they're going to be putting down 30%. So $242,500 times the 30%. So they are going to make a down payment of $72,750. So they take their original loan amount minus the 72,750. And let's throw that in our calculator and see how much we end up borrowing from the bank. 169,750. Is our loan amount. All right, and that's as difficult as it gets. Multiply by the percent minus the down payment from the original selling price. All right, and that is 10.1. Okay. Again, make sure you guys pause and interact with this video as you need to. Some people write quicker, some people don't write quickly at all. So just use this at your leisure. Okay, 10.2 is monthly payment and total interest. So here, this is the section that I tell my students, a lot of what we do is pretty intuitive, like finding the down payment and minusing it from the original amount. That's pretty intuitive, and most students can figure that out on their own. Learning how to use this chart and the formula is not intuitive at all. So please pay careful attention. This is to my struggling students and my completely wicked smart students, because without this information, this whole section is super confusing. So our objective is to use a table or formula, and we're actually going to use a table and formula to determine the monthly payment, the total amount paid, and the total interest charged. So we're going to find 3 things in this one section. So it's going to feel, each problem is going to have 3 separate components to it. Okay, so our formula for this, we're going to take the amount we borrow, the mortgage amount, divide it by 1,000, and then times it by the chart amount. So if you're at home taking notes, I want you to put the word chart right next to monthly payment for a $1,000 loan, because this number is the one we get from the chart. All right, and then your amount paid, that's how much you pay over the life of your loan. So if you have a 20-year loan, you make monthly payments and then times it by 240 of those payments for a 20-year loan. So this is just finding out how much total you'll end up paying. And then the total interest charge is the amount you paid, so what we get from the second one, minus your original mortgage amount. The total interest charge is the money that goes directly to the bank. That is the bank's profit from the loan that they're giving you. All right, let's see this at work. We're going to look at Carol and Adam Burke have applied for a $280,000 mortgage loan at a 9% annual interest rate. The loan is for 30 years, and the Burkes will pay it in equal monthly payments that include interest. What is the total amount of interest charged? Okay, we're going to follow the formula. So for this section, we do the formula first. $280,000 mortgage divided by 1,000 times the number from the chart. So we go 9% for 30 years. That's 8.05 is what we get from the chart. We put this in our calculator, 280,000 divided by 1,000 times 8.05. And we get that the Burkes are paying $2,254 per month. That is for this A. That's for the first part. The second part, we're going to find out how much they pay over the course of 30 years. So you take the monthly payment, times it by 12 months, times it by 30 years. All in total, over 30 years, they'll have paid $811,440, which is a lot of money for 30 years. Then to find out how much the bank gets in interest, you take the $811,440 minus the $280,000, and in interest, the bank gets $531,440. All right, let's do a couple of practice problems along those same lines. We'll go over here. Okay. So our friend Cameron We're going to find his monthly payment, amount paid, and the annual interest charged for $390,000 mortgage. 5% annual interest rate for 20 years. So the first thing that we're doing is we are taking and finding our chart number. So we go, okay. So his mortgage amount is $390,000. We're going to divide by, and I'm going to use 1,000. And then we're going to times it by the number from the chart. So 5% for 20 years. We go 5%, 20 years. That's $6.60. So times it by 6.60. We push that number in our calculator. 390,000 divided by 1,000. Times 6.60. And our monthly payment is $2,574. Okay, so we're going to take that number, the $2,574, and we're going to times it by the amount of time we're taking the loan out for. So that's 20 years, and there are 12 months in a year. I'll put a dollar sign so you guys can see that we're talking money here. Okay, so the calculator goes 2,574 times 20 times 12. So it's $617,760. That's how much we pay over the course of the loan in 20 years. Okay. And then the amount that goes to the bank is that amount minus the $390,000 originally that we paid. And that's $227,760 straight to the bank in interest. Okay, and that's as difficult as 10.2 goes. To recap it, loan amount divided by 1,000, times it by the chart, multiply it by the number of payments you make over the years to find the total amount paid, and then subtract the original loan amount to find out how much you charge in interest. Okay, that I have not been recording this at all. Oh, no, I have. Okay, phew. All right, so the last section in this section of notes is 10.3. And 10.3 is closing costs. So we are going to calculate the total closing costs. And in fact, we're going to add those to our loan amount. We're going to roll the closing costs into the amount we have to pay for our loan. So a closing cost is costs associated with the transfer of property from the seller to the buyer, which may include fees for the property survey, loan application, document preparation, and points. So the total of the closing costs is going to be the sum of the various closing fees. So we're going to have a whole bunch of closing costs. We're going to add them all together. Some of them will be based upon the percentages. Okay, so let's look at this example. State Bank has approved a mortgage for Tricia and Bryce Hallett at an annual interest rate of 8% for 25 years. The home selling price was $125,000. They needed 20% down payment. State Bank will allow them to finance the closing costs as a part of the mortgage. Their closing costs are shown in figure 10.2. What are the closing costs and what is the actual amount financed with the mortgage? So look, this is a 5-step process, so don't get bogged down. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the down payment, and we want 20% down, so we take our mortgage amount, $125,000, times the 20%, and we get $25,000. Then step number 2 is to find the mortgage. So we take the $125,000 minus the $25,000, and it's $100,000. We're borrowing $100,000. So now that we have that, we can calculate all these little percentages that are a part of the closing costs. So the points percentage is 2% of our loan amount. So 2% times 100,000 is 2,000. Our documentation stamp is 0.3% of the mortgage. So we go 0.3% times 100,000, that's $300. And our processing fee is 1.1% of the mortgage. So that's $1,100. Now we're going to add in all those closing costs, everything that's on here, including the percentages we just calculated as well. So we add all those fees together, and we see that our closing costs are $5,464. We're going to add that in to our $100,000, and that's going to be our total loan amount. So 1,000 times 5,464 is $105,464. That's how much we're financing because they were adding those closing costs in. Okay, let's take a peek at what that looks like. In our notes, okay. So we have our USA Mortgage is going to give a loan to Kuyang and Hideo, and they're going to go 7.5% annual interest for 15 years. The home has a $100,000 selling price. They need 10% down. So step number 1 is going to be finding the 10%. So we go 100,000 times 10%. I don't even need a calculator for that. I know that is $10,000. So our mortgage is going to be $100,000 minus the $10,000 down payment. I also now don't need a calculator for that either. I know that's going to be $90,000 for our mortgage amount. So now that I have the mortgage amount, I can find the points, which is 90,000 times this 2% of the mortgage. So when we go 90,000 times 2%, it's $1,800 in points. Then to find the documentation stamp, it is going to be 90,000. Let's get copy this. Times 0.30%. Calculate that out. And we get $270. And then the processing fee is 1.1%. And that is $990. Okay, so we add all those fees in. So we got the $252 plus 65 plus the 1,800 for the points plus 325 for the appraisal fee, 212 for the title search, 410 for the title insurance, 350 for the inspection, 450 for the attorney fee, 270 for the documentation stamp, and 990 for the processing fee. And we're going to add all those together. $52, $65, $1,800, $325, $212, $410, $350, $450, $270, and $990. $5,124 is our closing costs total. So the last thing we want to know is what's the total mortgage amount? So we take our $90,000, we add in the closing costs, and we get $95,124 for our total mortgage. All right, and that's as difficult as that gets. Thank you guys for listening, and we will see you shortly for 10-4 to 10-6.